Hello and welcome to the Cal Zone, your place for all things discussion and exploration. I'm your host, Kalion, and today
Hello there, I am Common Sentai, also known as Sean Patrick Nice. I don't mind my name being out there, I already do that enough.
and today we will be discussing the Kirby series, but not as a whole, but more about our favorite games in the Kirby series, and a bit of a general discussion about the Kirby series itself as well. So we're not going to go into too many games of the list because there are a lot of Kirby games, but just a few here and there that we like personally as well. So to start things off, I got into the Kirby series kind of late, in the sense the second half of the Kirby series. I started with Superstar Ultra, and then I went around and explored around the other Kirby games. It caught my eye because of the aesthetic, and it's because it was one of the big Nintendo names at the time, so I wanted to go back and see why it was so revered in the Nintendo Pantheon and such. So that's why I went to go explore the Kirby series, and that's how I began and to love Kirby as well. What about you?
It was like, I started at the Nintendo 64 really. I had a Super Nintendo, but again, I was like 3 around that time. So 64 was like when I was 4 and 5, so video games started to be more of a thing for me. And Kirby was one of the first ones that I just had, Crystal Shards being, and I just played it so much, and it just became a childhood flavor of mine. And sooner or later I started noticing, oh yeah, a franchise. And it was like Game Boy Advance, I had it on for Nightmare and Dreamland, and ever since then I've usually just been keeping up with it.
Kirby wondered what he should do.
Oh sure.
Suddenly, Kirby
So the thing about Kirby is its simplicity, and that's kind of its strength, and some people see it as a weakness, in a sense that the gameplay doesn't offer too much variation. But I think the variation in Kirby comes from Kirby's many powers, and the list keeps growing and changing and always being swapped around, and it becomes exciting because people will be like, oh, what's going to be the new power that's coming up next, and what powers will return. You know, like one of my favorites is Yo-Yo, so I'm glad that Yo-Yo is usually around with the Kirby series and stuff. So like what makes you excited about a new Kirby game?
Well, usually for Kirby it's always just like, I know I'm in for a good time. I know I am. Like, even if let's say, I remember when I was younger with like Squeak Squad, that was like, to me, just a little disappointing, but it wasn't a bad game still. Just like, it's just after Amazing Mirror, it was just like, oh, okay, like I get it, but like I still played it a lot. Like freaking tornado power during that era.
Yeah, sometimes with series like the bar is like raised so high, and I went through kind of a similar situation with Planet Robot being so good, and then Star Allies was kind of a disappointment after that. But you know, so it's just a consequence of being a game series in general, really. And like, what do you think about the simplicity of Kirby? Do you think it's its strength or a detriment?
I always think it's a strength, because when people with the core fan base for Kirby, or even new people coming into it, it's always like, oh, you know you're in for a good time, and it makes it super easy for big fans to tell people when to get into Kirby, because you can just start whenever.
It's really welcoming. Like, in a sense, it's like having like a warm cup of coffee, or tea, whichever you prefer. That sort of feeling when you play a Kirby game. So without further ado, let's start talking about our favorite games in the series. So the first one we have is an entry that we are going to have a remake of very soon. That's Kirby's Epic Yarn. So we're going to get that on the 3DS next year as well. So I thought this might be the best entry to start off with. So I'll let you take it away for Epic Yarn.
For Epic Yarn, one of the first things to talk about is, while originally Kirby wasn't there, it was just the Prince Fluff character. And I don't know who made the idea. Maybe Miyamoto did something, but because we know how Miyamoto just goes like, hey, this could work. Yeah, friggin' Star Fox. But yeah, when Epic Yarn first came out, then I remember the reviews were still possibly more high. Like, I remember the IGN review way back then, it was like a 9 out of 10. And I remember some people always going like, oh, but there's no game overs or anything in that game. I was like, yeah, but they made it to a point where you're still being punished if you were losing or getting hit, because that game was all about collecting. Like,
Yeah, it was similar to the minecart mode in Superstar Ultra, in the sense, because you could in there you go around and find all the treasures and stuff. So in here it's about trying to collect the beads and trying to keep your beads, you know, a bit like Sonic in the sense that, yeah, you know, if you get hit, everything gets scattered everywhere, and then you're running around picking it up. Yeah. So I guess in a sense the no death thing, it is a big controversy, but like from what I've seen, it still maintains that challenge, because the beads are very well designed, I would say, because they make you want to pick them up, and if you lose them, you feel almost a genuine attachment to them. So it's like, oh my god, I gotta pick it up. Yeah, there's a boss attacking me, but I still gotta pick them up first. You know what I mean? So yeah, especially the shiny glittery stars. I really have to comment like how well they designed not only the aesthetic of the world, and that's why I'm sure it got its critical praise initially, but it's more about how well they design the beads and make them a crucial mechanic that's both visually emphasized as well. So that's something I appreciate about Epic Yarn.
And again, yeah, visual wise, like out of all the Kirby games, that's the best like sense of therapy. Epic Yarn's the one. Like, my goodness, like, it's so adorable.
Welcome to Dreamland, a kingdom
Like, to
famous
just
for peace
everything.
and quiet. It's the perfect little land.
Are you excited about the 3DS remake and the stuff they're
I
adding
actually
into it
did
and
just
stuff?
remember it as we were talking about it before, but
Right.
I probably won't get it day one. I'll probably wait for a little price drop, but yeah, I'm genuinely excited for that. It seems like a good time, especially new levels being added to the game.
Down the hatch.
I mean, I think the HP mode thing, I forgot what it's called, but I think it's called like devious mode or something like that. So the difficulty is up. You have a health meter and stuff. So that will satisfy a lot of gamers out there who complain about it, you know. So you can actually die.
I just realized too, like, one of the big things about that game was the Wii mode and stuff like that. And for the 3DS, it's gotta be, first of all, one of the aspects has to be completely changed. The train function. I guess it would be touchscreen.
Yeah, I mean they've done it before with Donkey Kong, because Donkey Kong was in the Wii, Donkey Kong Country was in the Wii, and then they made it to the 3DS. So I don't think it's going to be too much problems, but I'm really excited because it's becoming more of a Kirby game this time, in a sense, because they're having all the little modes like with Meta Knight and all the side modes and stuff. Because that's something I definitely enjoy it. I think a bit more than other people, all the side modes in Kirby, because they're cute, they're simple, but they're a lot of fun. Like they're like those little toys you get when you're a kid, and then you play with them for like maybe 15 minutes and stuff, but you enjoy them for the amount of time you play, you know.
Like, I have no problem ever playing that game. Like, and the great part about it too, and essentially something I like to say with when bringing newcomers into the series, Epic Yarn's a really nice one, especially let's say you have like a little niece, a little brother, or stuff like that, who they're not the greatest video game players yet, but they just want to play. No game overs mean they just still gotta keep playing and have a fun time.
Yeah, and it's that Sonic and Tails kind of thing. You got both side by side, and you can mess with each other, and it's a lot of fun in that sense as well. And I think, like, in terms of these, like, Nintendo, especially during the Wii era, they kept pushing this multiplayer focus again, that they had in the 64 days. So like I feel they usually go a bit overboard with the 4-player thing. Like, I think 2 or 3 is usually the sweet spot, but you know, there's always 4 controller ports usually on a game system, so I get it. But I think like Epic Yarn hits that sweet spot as well in terms of multiplayer.
Oh yeah, it's
for
just
sure.
a nice 2-player game. It's like, again, it's like a Mario Brothers sort of thing, but this time you messing with each other doesn't lead to game overs. So again, that makes it more fun again.
For sure. And the last kind of point I want to bring across is the soundtrack. Like, I think it's really unique. Unlike, like, I can't think of any other Kirby game with this kind of musical aesthetic. Like the main focus instrument is the acoustic guitar. It's so relaxing, And it might not fit the level all the time, but it's just so good.
It's
you know?
music you can sleep to. It's just very nice and relaxing, which fits the aesthetic of all the fluffy yarns, of all the ice cream stuff.
Yeah, that's
And
all.
I love the
thing,
remixes they did in that as well.
Yeah.
The DDD remix in that one's one of my personal favorites.
Yeah, it gives you a new perspective on the classic tunes for sure. I think that's why like Epic Yarn, despite its lack of difficulty, I think it's still relatively well received in the fan base. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it still holds up now to this day. And no one really, again, Kirby games, I don't know any Kirby games that really have hatred among them.
I mean, less popular is the way to put it. There are definitely some of those which aren't like well received. Like for example, I would say Squeak Squad is not very well received as well. Which I kind of get why,
Again,
but
it's still a Kirby game and people still have so much fun with it. Like, I think that's one thing some people have some problems with, is that sometimes they think, oh, it wasn't as good, but I still had fun with it, though.
I think with that we should move on to the next game on the list. So that's Kirby's Air Ride, and that is so interesting though because it's so limited in a sense because it uses the Kirby scheme, but that's why it's amazing because it applies that Kirby gameplay logic into a racing game, which you would think wouldn't work out, but it works so well because it takes away the excess fluff and then it allows you to focus on just pure racing.
Yeah,
you know what I
and
mean?
To be honest, for me in that game, it wasn't really the racing, it was that city trial stuff.
Yeah, the city trials is like the most unique thing, and now it's become like part of the DNA of Smash Brothers also with the Smash Tour thing, which a lot of people I've heard is hoping that comes back in a more full glory in Ultimate as well.
The
Smash
unique
Brothers
thing, the
Ultimate.
3DS one had the Smash Run on that, yeah. It's just so
Yeah.
disappointing.
Yeah, that's the
you
one.
couldn't interact with each other really on that.
Yeah, and the maps were a bit limited, I guess. Like I wish they expanded into the franchises more and really go into different worlds and things. But we'll see if it comes back. But I think let's talk more about the city trials, right? So it's a mode where you go around and you find different items to boost different stats of your vehicle, and then once time runs out, you all go on a race and you use your boosted vehicle, so to speak, to take out enemies and try and inch to get first in the race and things like that. And that's such a cool idea because it gives you the freedom. In a sense, it's an open world racer because you're racing around trying to get the items and stuff. And I think that's almost more fun than the fight itself at the end, like both for Smash and for City Trials in a sense, because you're rushing around, you're trying to get in people's way. You don't know where everyone's gone, and then you see another guy trying to swipe your stuff away from you, and it's like, oh no, and that kind of thing, and it brings out all these really fun interactions, and it's such a cool idea back in the day. That I'm glad that it didn't die with Air Ride, so to speak, and it comes back.
Yeah, soccer
But
ride.
yeah, what about you? Do you have any stories to tell?
With
and
me in
stuff?
that game, oh my goodness, my brother and I played that so much, and our cousins would play that so many times, like on Christmas Eve, I remember so vividly. Heck, we weren't even like competing with each other, we would just do the free, So yeah, with the free one option, there were so many times we would just get our favorite cards, we would just like, I forget its actual name, but I just called it the sushi cart. The little box one, and just pretend I was traveling sushi salesman. I just love you can have so much fun with just little things like that.
Absolutely.
And then
Yeah, kind of reminds me of a sushi dough as well. But yeah.
and other things you could do in City Trial immediately if someone got that Hydra, get away. Like,
Oh
Jesus.
yeah. And isn't the Dragoon from Air Ride as well? If I'm
Yes,
not
the
wrong.
Dragoon was also from
Yeah.
that one. It's just the best flight unit.
Yeah. It was so cool. It was so simple, and I think there's something to be said about Nintendo's GameCube era games because all of them, like including Air Ride, of course, was so experimental and adventurous and things like that. And I know it's a bit unrelated, but like I have a bit of a grievance with the Switch era because I was hoping for it to be that kind of GameCube renaissance with Odyssey and Breath of the Wild as well, but like Super Mario Party and Tennis Aces is a bit concerning. So I hope they try to adventure new ideas like air ride and such more in the future.
Yeah, it is interesting because, again, Air Ride was the last Sakurai Kirby game, and the reason why he quit though is because Nintendo heads during the time weren't happy with the title. It like didn't sell well, if I'm correct, in Japan.
Yeah, it was a more corporate and really Japanese strict culture kind of Nintendo. I mean, it still is to some extent, but the Americans have kind of worn them down a bit. That's the best way to say it. But,
so I wonder if they want to do that, but I wouldn't be too surprised if they don't want to, because sometimes those Japanese guys can be pretty stern and stubborn.
Yeah, definitely. But I think with the new president, we might see some fresh ideas along the way, for sure, with Air Ride. But speaking of fresh ideas, let's talk about Project. Is it Project? Planet Robot. That's it. Yeah, Planet Robot. So this is I'm gonna say it right here. This is probably my second favorite Kirby game. The first is not a big mystery, but we'll get to that later on. But like, it was so amazing, and I gotta say, for a while I kind of debated putting it at the top spot because it did so much for the Kirby series. It made it so refreshing, so much better. And I played Triple Deluxe, and I gotta just shout out Triple Deluxe because it had a lot of cool level ideas, but like Robot took it to the next level with the ice cream factory. Oh, I like that ice cream factory a lot, and things like that. The casino and the billiard balls, and it took the background foreground idea that Donkey Kong Country like really focused on, and like took it to the next level, like both Triple Deluxe and Robot, I would say. But like, and it was so interesting, and it didn't change Kirby in the sense that Kirby's abilities more or less remained the same, but it changed everything around him for the better, you know?
Yeah. Definitely that's the thing, like during that era, like right after pretty much Return to Dreamland, using the same engine but trying to turn on its head, trying to see what they could experiment with, see what the engine can do.
Exactly.
And yeah,
and it's interesting that a Wii engine was like managed to make it onto a 3DS as well.
Well, originally that's the more funny thing. Return to Dreamland originally was, I don't remember its original title when it was in the works, but that was a GameCube title, oddly enough.
Yeah.
Which
it was one of those development hell kind of things, but I think not hell per se, but it was one of those things where I feel like they did pick it up, but they kind of got distracted with other projects and stuff. So eventually we got the game. So I think that's what matters at the end, you know. But back to Robot itself, like the robot armor is the most amazing thing. Like, not only did they make it feel powerful and different and amazing and really cool, because it still had the same abilities what Kirby did, because it could suck up powers and use them in infinitely more cool and interesting ways, because we've been seeing kind of more or less the same Kirby since Superstar with a lot of the abilities. So like to see him in a different light with the robot armor was really cool. And spoilers here, because yeah, we are gonna go into some of the spoilers for the game, so I might as well start warning you about that. So like the one of the penultimate levels, I remember you get split from your robot armor, and it makes you feel so vulnerable and like so pathetic in a sense. And then when you get the armor and the music plays, and it's like, it's so amazing that they used it both narratively and in a gameplay sense, and that's something that really hits the sweet spot for me.
especially when you equip your robot to the halberd. Meta Knight ship. Like, oh, it's just like, how can we scale this even higher? Yep. Then equipping the your little mech to the giant halberd and taking on the Star Nova of all things coming back. Like,
That was that moment was something special, I think, to all the fans, for sure, for me as well. Right? When you see it and it's like, oh my god, you know, and like that's the kind of like attention to detail, like that continuity that I want out of all the franchises I follow. But not a lot of developers do it, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
for better or for worse, but
What was so fun about Kirby with that, they never really actually tell you it. It's just like, oh yeah, this is still around, or like, hey, whatever. Like, you figure it out.
yeah, every single Kirby lore is usually when you pause the screen during a boss. That's where you get the lore of Kirby, which is really interesting to me because like there's some really messed up dark stuff hidden in the lore there. I'm not gonna spoil you guys too much on it, but
Yeah, that
it gets really twisted and really dark. And I would just like to recommend Wooly versus Kirby lore
I knew
series
you
if
were
you
gonna
wanna.
mention that.
Yeah, if you wanna like catch up on it, because it's not so much that he relays the information back to you, which a lot of people do, but he has this really thematic mood that really gets you and draws you into the lore as well. So as a person, you know, it's really cool. So it's not too long, so don't worry about the length of the video. Like I just wanna, because robot really means a lot to me in the sense that like I like the fact a lot of people do complain that why can't you be in the robot the whole time kind of thing. And yeah, I get it, but it's a Kirby game at the end of the day, so I feel like having that like tempo change in a sense. So you're in the robot, you mess things up, you go in and then you can't move on, so you get out of the robot, you move on, you find the next robot, you come back in, and that really, that push and pull is really necessary for the gameplay, because if the robot was there the entire time, you would probably start to lose interest in the later levels for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and then for level designing, then it would be like, okay, you can start simple here, learn of what things to avoid and stuff like that. And then when you get to Robots, don't worry, you can destroy those cars now. You don't have to worry about that. It's a scaling aspect.
Yeah, exactly. But in terms of the abilities and the robots, like robot abilities, which were your favorites in Robobot as well?
Ooh. I remember this is when ESP first got shown, if I'm correct. Which, that was a fun one, especially with the robot, how you can make it like do all meditation poses then. Yeah.
That's a good one. That's all my favorites as well. But I kind of prefer the normal ESP a bit more than the robot ESP. But I like the robot car. That was really fun.
Yeah.
That level and stuff, and the ice cream factory and the like, I think almost every single robot ability was like really cool. Stone is alright. Stone I didn't like that much, but like Blade is really cool.
Yeah, the cutter one.
And yeah, the cutter. Oh yeah, I forgot about the cutter as well. Like there's so much. Yeah, there's so much personality with every single robot design and stuff. I mean, the stickers were nice. They didn't do much, but you know, yeah. I even saw a Robobot gacha the other day as well. So I tried to go for the robot, but I got normal Kirby with the pilot goggles, unfortunately. So oh well, maybe next time. But yeah. Is there anything else you wanna say about Robot?
With Robobot, yeah, with definitely, like, I don't know how, like, I know Star Allies, they had a new idea, but I really kind of want to see the idea of Kirby piloting stuff again, or, like, that kind of aspect. Those are some really cool ideas, like, how can you make Kirby even more dangerous than he already is?
Yeah, it's an exciting project. I wouldn't mind if they even just bring the robot back again, you know. I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world, and you can still make sense of it in the lore, you know what I mean? It's always possible. So I feel like if they bring back a robot, I'm not gonna complain, and I think not many are anyway at that point. So
yes, maybe like one game they just be like, it's Triple Deluxe mechanic, Robobot mechanics, and Return to Dreamland mechanics. Just go wild.
So the next game I'm not too familiar with, probably the one I'm least familiar in this list as well, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. So I'll let you take it away on this one.
So yeah, Amazing Mirror, like, if anyone remembers the, in Superstar or Superstar Ultra, which one doesn't really matter technically, but the Great Cave Escape. Essentially, Amazing Mirror...
Offensive.
Oh, offensive, sorry. I always think escape. Amazing Mirror just expanded that concept to whole new levels. it's like technically, like who's boss one? Technically, you can decide. It's like aspects of that, just a free roaming exploration. It's actually a really interesting idea for Kirby. And it was
Yeah, I mean Kirby did open world before Zelda did, if you think about it in a sense.
kinda, yeah. But in terms of a platformer still, but yeah, not like the 3D Skyrim stuff. Maybe that'll be the next Kirby game, just a full 3D do whatever game.
Did you like that the mobile phone thing? That was really weird to me. Like
Yeah.
Kirby using a mobile phone.
It's cute.
It kind of doesn't make sense.
Oh yeah, it's cute.
I mean, it's cute. I mean, Kirby is always cute, but you know.
You get to call your
it's
friends
not-
in and then, yeah, too bad they weren't the smartest CPU, but hey, it was the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I kind of wish it had come out later. Like, if it had come out for the DS, everyone has a DS, you know what I mean? Or even if it had come out on the Wii, it would be perfect because, like, it's a multiplayer system essentially. That's why everyone had a Wii, you know. So it's one of those things I feel like it would have done way better if it had come out later. But they had that idea at that point in time, so that's what they came up with as well.
To be honest, I could have seen they done a Four Swords adventure with that because they put Four Swords on the 3DS and had online capabilities with it. Because that's the thing with the Kirbys, when they're not with you, they're doing their own thing. Which is always was a fun thing if I actually got to play with my brother on that one, where he was like, I think it was the yellow Kirby just go off wherever he's doing this, I'm doing that. And then like, oh, we need to help each other? Quick! Speed dial that.
Okay. But would you want something like this back with the Switch in a sense?
I can definitely see that because what's so great about Switch is that the multiple consoles are easy to take around. Like it'll be easy to implement.
Yeah, exactly. I think it could be one of those in between games. If they want to release it, they definitely can. Especially now that we can have these kind of HD graphics and stuff. It'll be like really cool if they have a like an intricate environment, just like, you know, Mirror itself. So it's a really cool idea. It's a really interesting idea. Not only that, the lore about the Dark Meta Knight and stuff is really cool and stuff with him in the mirror and stuff. And yeah, it expands not only the gameplay itself, but the lore because of the gameplay. So that's really cool as well.
But yeah, I think what also helps that game too is it's all those collectibles and stuff like that. Because not only do you get like little colors and music like usual, you got, I think that's when they started the scrolls, which haven't been really used on that much, but it started expanding the moveset for Kirby. Like all of his different abilities.
Yeah, you build your moveset as you go along, and it gave you something to always chase after. So you'll be like, oh, this box has this, and we were talking about the push and pull earlier as well. So in a sense, you could get something crappy like a skin color that you didn't like or something, or you know, a new scroll. So there's always that excitement when you find a chest or something, you know.
Oh yeah, especially I love the scrolls and like Squeak Squad tried to do that again, but just not to the same effect. And actually, if I remember, it actually lessened some of the moves. They didn't have many moves. I was like, huh. That's a little disappointing.
Yeah, the mixing thing was weird. Absolutely, like bizarre for some reason. But yeah, we're not here to talk about it. Do you have any closing thoughts for Amazing Mirror before we move on?
For Amazing Mirror, I feel like it's the best flowing Kirby game probably still to this day. It just has such great momentum to it, and the moveset possibilities are so large. It's just, to me, it's still the one I like to pick up the most and just go crazy.
Yeah, I think it's like, even if they made like say a remake of it or something, I think it still will get some attention for sure, because there is a fan base that like people like you, in a sense, that really remembers it, you know, from their childhood and stuff. So I think it's not a bad idea to go for a Amazing Mirror remake, but I kind of doubt it. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I doubt too, but I don't mind. I'll just play Amazing Mirror whenever I want.
So with that, we go to Kirby 64. Is it what's the subtitle for that?
The Crystal Shards.
The Crystal Shards. Yes. Yeah, you can go ahead for this one as well.
Alright, probably the first thing to mention some people like to talk about with this one, it's kind of like a reimagining of Kirby Dream Land 3, because some of the bosses come back and such.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I wasn't really that bothered, especially since this was my first Kirby game I played as a kid. And still to this day, Star Allies sort of brought it back, was fusing copy abilities, and I just adored that. It's like, oh, I got sword, like, put electric on that. Now you got, like, the Darth Maul lightsaber stuff going on.
Yeah.
Like, the giant flame sword where you can just break DDD's boss fight like nothing. Like, there's...
Like, did you prefer the way 64 did that power mixing thing, or Star Allies, in a sense?
Oh, yeah, it's probably still my favorite gimmick of the entire franchise. 4, for sure. Mostly because it was just like, ooh, I can get something new out of this. Like, what will this do? Sadly, with Star Allies, it was just like, oh, I added an element onto it. Sure, it can do a nice little effect, but overall, it's kind of like, I know what's gonna happen, and I get it. With this one...
It's really predictable, for sure.
Yeah, with 64, it's just like, oh, man, what am I gonna get? I'm a snowman who's a walking bomb. Okay.
Yeah, I from what I've seen, the transformations are really unique, and I think something else, you gotta praise 64 for its look, because it was very, very different from everything else that came before, with the 3D look, but the 2.5D platformer, so to speak, you know.
Yeah, it was definitely the first one that did that. It's because, to be honest, the last Kirby game before that was on the SNES. It was Dreamland 3.
Yeah, that was the last 2D Nintendo console, so to speak, for sure. And like, did you like the look, and why as well?
Oh, for 64, since it was my first one, yeah, I love the look. I especially love the little cutscenes that were like the intersection of getting planet to planet, like when Kirby is hallucinating that people's heads are food. It's just like this. They knew exactly how to deliver way more cuteness into a 3D game for that.
Yeah, the pastel colors and stuff. Like, I kind of wonder. I'm not sure about this part, but its art style really reminds me a lot of Yoshi's Island. So I kind of wonder if any of that crew kind of made this game as well. But yeah,
I wouldn't be that surprised because, oddly enough, the people now making the Yoshi games right now are the Epic Yarn team.
Yeah, the good feel for sure. Yeah, so it is really cool. It's really interesting, and I think at that point you could say it's one of the more innovative Kirby games, because a lot of ideas were tried on there, and surprisingly even came back with Star Allies, and I think that's why it's so fondly remembered in the franchise, even though it's definitely not one of the most popular ones, but there is a huge crazy following for 64 for sure.
It's because like so many fans can go like, hey, look at this, like you've never seen a Kirby game that done this, where you could just again have all these different swords, make yourself a curling iron, like a fridge. Heck, well, the first thing did come back a bit in a way with the artist ability in Star Allies.
Yeah, Star Allies is a very, you could say, I guess it's a very anniversary game for the series and stuff, and it has some really amazing moments that celebrate the franchise, which I won't spoil here. I'll let you go check it out yourselves as well. But yeah, any other things you want to mention about 64 before we get to the big one?
I will say with 64, probably the only vendetta I have with that game, for much I love it, you have to complete it to beat it. It's like,
oh, you had 100% completed to beat it.
That's how you get the true final boss. And
again, I guess that's all right. That's not too bad.
It was that era.
Yeah.
It was the Crash Bandicoot stuff, and like for little me, that was a nightmare because I just never knew.
I see.
And then I remember this on
because,
YouTube.
like,
I saw that the final boss. I'm like, wait, that's not it.
Yeah, because in the sense, because I like, for example, there's a different game. There's a Sonic game where it makes you collect every single thing and every single piece to reach the final boss, and it's not even an extra boss. You know what I mean? And in Kirby's case, it's an extra boss, which was very typical of a lot of games in those eras, where you gotta get the MacGuffins or the 100% and all this. And 100% is a bit steep, I guess, in terms of getting a extra boss, but you know, that's one of those things you learn with time and game development and things like that. So yeah.
And by 100%, I just meant you have to get all the crystal shards. You don't have to get all the cards in the game, which I think, oddly enough, I think when I got some of those cards, it actually one of the cards was that final boss, and I'm just like, what is that?
Wow. So the collectible actually spoiled the final boss. That's kind of interesting, because like that's something interesting to talk about, because if you play the later games and stuff, especially the one with the collectibles like Rainbow Curse and Triple Trouble and Robobot, like there's a lot of stickers of every single sprite and thing on there, so you could like easily get spoiled about previous games if you haven't even played them and stuff, which I guess is not a big deal.
Yeah, I was about to say, with Kirby Games, it's not really a big deal, because it's like, oh, it's something that Kirby probably killed in the past. Gotcha.
Yeah, that's all it is. But I mean, some of the boss designs is more kind of delightful to kind of see it for the first time than on just a sticker or something. That's kind of the only drawback of that. I mean, it's one of those things like, how do you feel about that? Because like, it's one of those collection things that don't feel really worth it. It was cool, and I think the only time I think it felt more substantial to me was in Rainbow Curse, because it was nice to see these models with a clear aesthetic as opposed to how it was in the original games as well.
Oh yeah.
So how do you feel about that?
With collections, again, the best one I would say is definitely Amazing Mirror, because you physically get those guys. But yeah, the cards in 64 were a little bit of a bother. You had to do it in like a little mini game section right after a level. A little annoying, and they're random, so you never get a new card each time. That was a pain.
Oh yeah, that's another problem with Robot as well. Yeah, you can get doubles or something, and it's useless as well. But I meant more of the visual collectibles, like how they use the sprites over and over again, so that you collect something. Like how do you feel about that? Do you like that? Are you indifferent about it, or like would you prefer them not to come back?
I'm personally fine with it, because it's like, oh, hey, you want to know where this came from? Well, we can tell you, it's this game, and go ahead.
Yeah, it's a encyclopedia, I guess. I mean, we got Hyrule Historia, but we haven't got a Kirby book yet, you know. So get on that, Nintendo. So, we are down to the final game we have to talk today, which is Superstar Ultra for the DS, and this is a big one, because this is my first Kirby game. So what we did is we went yours first, and then now this is mine. And I played it, and like the reason I went for that first is because I heard it was more or less unanimously the best Kirby game, and I definitely agree with that, because it had really good art design, and like I know a lot of people love the SNES game for nostalgia and all that, but like if you compare these screenshots, like the it's not even a pod job. Like the remaking is amazing. The difference is amazing. Like the sprite quality was really turned up for a DS game of all things, and it's really impressive, like how visually it looks as well.
Oh yeah, that's one of the biggest things about that. And also, again, the controls were changed from like more what people knew Kirby during the time, compared to this early days where it's like you had to keep holding up to keep floating. Like,
oh yeah, that's right.
Those were not fun to look back on, when I was like going, oh, I know Kirby for this. Let's go back to like the original game. Why am I not floating? It's like, oh, it got so weird.
And it's one of those things where they kind of market it as like a 6-in-1 game and something like that. I mean, it was just a marketing gimmick in a sense, but like I think it really did help the game, because it didn't keep the game feeling very monotonous. Like we talked about the Great Cave Offensive and how memorable it was, and how they expanded it into its own game essentially with Amazing Mirror and stuff. So, and like I like the short little stories and stuff. They were really cute and really interesting. It reminds me of those, you know, those short novels where like you get a book and then you get to read like, you know, 5-6 different stories in a book, you know. So that sort of thing. I think it did that really well without, you know, sticking too long to one story as well.
Yeah, you had the cute little moments. Again, you had the reimagining of the original game with DDD. You had the Dynablade stuff, Meta Nightmare, the Great Cave Offensive, like, and the introduction of Marks. But yeah, it also had the introduction of Marks, a villain that fans very much still remember to this day, and Star Allies brought him back as an ally for some reason.
Yeah, but that was really cool though, because he's one of those lovable villains for sure, and and it's always remembered. So he's always been part of the franchise despite his absence for sure for a long time, and that's why it's a cool idea to have like a good guy like Kirby fall for someone else's tricks and do their bidding essentially without him knowing, and then they are the big bad guy, and that was a really good way to bring about the end of the to bring an epic end to the Superstar saga, so to speak, if you know what I mean. But yeah, and the side games were really cool, like the Samurai Kirby and was Megaton Punch as well there? I'm not sure. Yeah.
Yeah, the Megaton Punch and Samurai Kirby game, those are like classics, and essentially the Samurai is built on the quick draw minigame from back then, and now like Samurai is always around.
Yeah, and then there's like a variation of the Karuta Kirby. So you have to snatch the card first, like the Japanese game Karuta, and things like that. That was cool as well. So I like the mini games. I like the modes and stuff. My favorite mode is the Meta Nightmare. You said yours was the one with marks in it, right?
No, I love the arena stuff. I love the boss rush.
Yeah.
Oh, just use
True Arena, things like that. Yeah. It's a bit too hard for me, but I remember I beaten one True Arena, but I think that was in Triple Deluxe. But yeah.
So many.
Okay. I should go with that. Yeah, because I like to stick to.
Yo-Yo,
I mean,
yeah.
I think we could dedicate this section just a bit to talk about the powers and stuff,
The one
because
I loved
I think
the most
Ultra
from that
was the
game
one
hadn't
that
been
like
ever
broke the
acted since
floodgates
it's
with the
mirrored.
powers. There were so many powers and things like that. So I like Yo-Yo. I like ESP. We talked about that a bit with the nest cap. That was really cute. I even like Circus actually. Circus is quite fun, because I feel like Triple Deluxe was going for a bit more of a carnival aesthetic. That's why we got Circus and Bell in Triple Deluxe. So they put Mirror in there to kind of fit with it. And we got Doctor and ESP in in that one. And I don't know, I feel like it's not very well done. But like to just go back to that really quickly, like Robot had a side mode where it was like an RPG or something, but I feel like Kirby would work well if it was like a tabletop RPG in a video game kind of thing. I feel like they could do something really cute with that. Yeah, like little Kirby figurines and stuff, and you move it along and stuff. Like that's something I would like to see for sure in the future for like a side mode or something.
Who had ownership of that later on? I think it was Konami. Because yeah, then when they made the DS version, they couldn't get it back, so I was like, we just make a new guy.
Twinbee, I think, is a real game franchise, so I think it was an outright reference, if you want to call it that, to that franchise. It's just one of those games you can really go back to really easily, like how we were talking about Epic Yarn, because you can just go into that game and have a relaxing time and not worry about death and things like that. But like Superstar Ultra is more traditional as it gets. It is. I think you could say it is the first kind of the traditional Kirby, because it established a lot of things that we see in all the future games. Like Wispy Woods is always the first boss in some sort of way. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, it's one of those things that it has all the elements that make Kirby feel like home for all of us.
When you get Superstar Ultra was like the expansion of like all the previous 6 games there were. Like you had Revenge of DDD, again the Meta Nightmare, like not Revenge of Meta Nightmare, it was Meta Nightmare this time, and it was just a really cool expansion. And it also like brought back again for Superstar Ultra, for people going back to that, I was like, oh my god, these bosses came back, like Kabula, the giant blimp.
Yeah, so random. But yeah, and also what is your favorite story or mode
For
in
his favorite story, it's probably
Superstar Ultra? Yeah, same. Yeah, it's just like it's not only like the levels and the challenge it comes with it, but like it's just so funny and cute. And that's why I mean we could kind of attribute that to a bit to why we got that the Kirby show right back here, which was so good as well. But yeah, the characters, even though they're really simple and you can boil them down to a few words, but they always have this personality that effervescence, you know, that makes you come back, and you just want to see Kirby again, you want to see Meta Knight again, and like if you want to know more about the lore, you want to know about Galacta Knight and all that. So it's like there's always something more under the surface with Kirby, and I think that's something that a lot of the fan base hold very important to them as well for the series, and they never lost track of that, which I really appreciate.
Of Bandanity, I just realized.
Oh yeah, everyone wants him for Smash for sure. What about you?
To be honest, the Kirby characters we have, those are the three. Like, I'm fine with those three. And to be honest, if you want to put anyone else in, I personally say, like, someone a little more important, let's say. Like, I know Bandanity started early, but in terms of his playability, only started in the Wii. Because you have the animal friends, which have been longer. Heck, I think even Marks has more notability as well.
I think what I want is actually a bit more, I guess, not simple and simple at the same time. What I want is I want a Galacta Knight skin and a Morpho Knight skin for Meta Knight. That's all I need. Yeah, that's all I need. I don't need Meta Knight. If he's there, that's cute. That's nice. But yeah, because can you imagine like you are facing like Morpho Knight in Smash and things like that? Oh, it's just so cool. If they do it, I really like it. But you know, it's hard to say because those models have to have new animations. Not new animations, the rigs are the same, but you know, it takes work for the effects and things like that. So yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think Smash cares too much about that, but we'll see.
Morpho Knight is a very interesting one to bring up.
Yeah, let's talk about him. Spoilers though, I'll just say that right now for Star Allies, but yeah, go ahead about Morpho Knight.
Was a rejected design for Meta Knight, and it was in the 20th anniversary book, and people just saw and fell in love with it. It was just, oh, it's such a cool design, and I remember the ones that pushed it the most was the Project M team who made that a skin.
Oh yeah, they did a lot of weird stuff. Like every single character was that was really the Smash where everyone was there. You know what I mean? But yeah,
on their own, like it was.
I like how they put Morpho Knight into the lore of like almost every single Kirby game, and that was nuts. Like when I saw that theory, like my mind was blown. It's amazing, but I'm not gonna. Let's not get into that too much. But that was really cool, and it's one of those cool things where like old design comes back into a game, like how Linker became a real thing with Hyrule Warriors and stuff, like when she was a concept art and things like that. So I like that sort of things. It brings a bit more, like it makes the fans feel a bit involved in a sense because they said they like the design, and you know it actually materializes in the game, and
it's funny
I think it's a cool thing that happens now and then. But yeah. So yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about Superstar Ultra in the sense, because I feel
too, because again the Great Cave offensives, like where was this treasure? How to get to this one? I think the one that always got me the longest was that one with the wind that keeps blowing at you, and you have to like somehow get past it and get to an undersection. Like, oh, such a pain.
Yeah, I think I know. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, it's one of those tricky platforming kind of situations, but you just gotta push for it sometimes, like literally. Yeah, that makes sense actually. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's one of those classic looking games that really looks classic and feels classic, but like I'm so glad we got a remake of this game, because I think if there was a Kirby game that needed a remake, I think it was Superstar. I mean, we did get Nightmare and Dreamland, which was nice. I enjoyed it for sure. It's like a fresh coat of paint and stuff. But like Ultra took it to an Ultra, you know, plus Ultra kind of level for sure. So yeah, and I think it's one of those things that's really hard to explain on air, like what it did for Superstar and everything. But it's one of those games where you really have to physically play the game to really get into it, and I can't like overemphasize its importance, because it was the game that like really brought me to play this series and stuff, because it was Kirby was something that like I always admired from afar. It's interesting, it's a pink blob, but I'm gonna say I was one of those guys where I didn't think it could have like a more layered depth to it, and because of Ultra and how varied it was and how of a mixed basket it was, it really pulled me into the series very effectively and very quickly.
Yeah, it really was a game that really had very good polish, and again, I feel like it's not that hard to explain, essentially, because the old control scheme of Kirby was just
yeah, it's more of, it's hard to explain the context of it. That's what I'm trying to say, because if you, let's say someone new were to pick up Superstar Ultra today or something, and they played it, they might not think too much of it in a sense, because we've progressed so far from back then, you know what I mean? But it's something you gotta definitely appreciate for its context, and I definitely did as well. So with that, we come to kind of our quick honorable mentions, and I kind of only one, so let me get it out of the way. So that's Kirby's Dream Course, and I got into the game kind of in the same way I imagine a lot of people did. I watched the Game Grumps, and oh my god, like that game was amazing, like the about moments, the Game Grumps and things like that, and like it was so cool, and I finally got to play with the SNES Classic, just came out as well, and yeah, it's so fun, it's so simple, and all the ROM hacks that give you so much levels to play. And I think the cool thing about it, like, it's a golf game, and golf games are something I always enjoyed, so that depends on your mileage for sure, but it mixed up the Kirby mechanics with the golf game, with some platformer elements from the Kirby series, like with the Gordles and the trees and all that, and how you use the elements to push someone's ball out of the way and things like that. And it did so much innovative things, and this was back on the SNES, all things, so it's like wow, it's amazing how much they managed to achieve on the SNES with Kirby.
Yeah, and its community, thanks to the Grumps, just really expanded even more.
Yeah, but I feel like if there was one system where I think Kirby did it best, I think it's probably the SNES to me, as far as I can think of. But yeah,
because like a lot of the big things started there, copy abilities,
probably
and stuff
followed
like that.
followed by the 3DS though, for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely 3DS. Like, again, the experimental era that the gimmicks were starting to feel way more solid.
Yeah, they kind of started to know what they want to do. What are your honorable mentions that you wanna just throw out there?
Probably for my first honorable mention would probably be the original game, like Kirby,
the Game Boy game.
Dreamland, like,
yep.
Like you guys, like, I had to say that because not only was that Sakurai's baby he was starting, like, Satoru Iwata was helping him during the time. Like, those early days were just so special.
Yeah, wasn't he just about
only
20 years old, I think, when he made the game? I'm pretty sure he was.
The whole Sakurai, like, I don't understand how he looks how he is today. Like, that's so weird. He looks younger.
You would have think the stress of developing Smash would have aged him, but you know.
Maybe the anger kept him going. Now he's happy now he stays with it. But yeah, the original game for it technically had the first hard mode too, when you beat the game the first time. Like, there's a lot of novelty to that original Kirby game. And so much of its music today still lives, and heck, Smash then on Smash 3DS, and I think it's coming back in Ultimate. They're bringing back that Game Boy Kirby stage.
Oh well. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I love that stage.
Yeah, it still holds a lot of water.
Yeah, it fit perfectly into the Game Boy library, because a lot of those Game Boy games were like really short games, but each time you played it, it was always like a fun experience. Like you can finish Kirby in an hour, probably, I would say. So it's a short game, but it holds a lot of value and respect.
And oh, it's so fun to toss out the people who are so used to copy abilities.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, you just gotta keep inhaling and spinning back out. That's all you got.
If you think about it, it's a bit more disgusting than what Kirby usually does, but early days. But yeah.
Hey, Mario. Hey, old days of Mario. He was killing toads who turned into bricks.
Do you remember those? Yeah, it's a bit of an off topic, but do you remember those weird Kirby commercials? Oh my god.
Oh my, those are. Ooh. It's been a while since I thought about those.
Yeah, the one that comes to mind is I think yeah it was the Canvas Curse one. So like Kirby is hanging around with a finger of all things, and it's like
I remember that commercial.
it's like why? Who thought this was a good idea? Why did they make it a finger? That's the thing I didn't get, because it was like, why not a stylus? Like why make it a finger? That's the weirdest part of the whole thing. If it was a stylus with googly eyes or something, I think that would be more acceptable than a disembodied finger, but you know.
I guess because it's something like you can touch Kirby and oh god, that just sounds worse now.
Yeah.
Ugh. But hey, and you gotta remember the old Kirby commercial where he was in a biker bar.
Well, what was that? Run me through that. I forgot about that one.
I think it was for Kirby's Return to Dreamland, or it was the original game because he was in black and white. Because America thought he just was black and white, but he's like just in a bar just beating up bikers, and I think he even inhaled one and spit him back out.
Yeah, it goes back to that classic thing, like Kirby has to be angry overseas, but at home he's alright.
Now these days that's gone.
Yeah, at home he's alright, you know. It's what I feel like it's an analogy to kind of real life, because like when you come back home you usually feel alright, but like when you get out you get pissed off and everything. That sort of thing. But yeah,
it's real traveling.
Yeah. But Kirby has been very interesting all fronts, like with both the animation, the advertisements, and it kind of makes me wish we got like a kind of a Gundam like advertisement for robot, like a 3D animation of Kirby like flying off into like out of the helmet or something, you know, like a very Gundam kind of thing. That would be like really cool if that had happened. But yeah, you know, robot had a budget, I guess, so. Oh well.
Oh yeah. Everything has a budget.
Yeah, but it's more limited in this sense. But yeah, for marketing, I never felt they really ever pushed Kirby hard until Star Allies, and that was just because it was the new Switch system. That's why.
Yeah, I do wonder when the next actual new Kirby game will be.
Yeah, that's what we are gonna talk about soon. But do you have any other honorable mentions to cap this off?
Probably another honorable mention would probably be, again, you mentioned the Dream Course one. I'm gonna mention Pinball or Block Ball. What's it called? Pinball then.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Both those titles work so well, but yeah. Again, it fits the Kirby kind of air for it during the time when Nintendo was like, we can't really think of what character to put in this game. It's a ball, right? It's Kirby. And there you go.
Like what? Like, could you get powers and stuff in that pinball game?
No, I don't think you could. I think that was one of the other ones later on.
Yeah, I think maybe that was still in Tumble. Yeah, that I'm thinking of. Yeah, I mean, let's just talk about that real quick. Like, Tilt and Tumble was like a really cool mechanic. Like, I don't know. I have a thing for those Game Boy cartridges that do something extra, like with WarioWare Twisted and things like that. And that's a cool concept. I mean, playing it is a bit difficult, both literally and yeah, in a gameplay sense. But like, I think it was a cute idea. It was a really cool idea, but it was a bit frustrating in a sense. Like, I think it might have worked better with the Wii and things like that, but we didn't get there in the end. But we did get Rainbow Curse, so that's something.
Yeah, and technically that idea of how that motion does work on the 3DS as well with the gyroscopes.
Oh yeah, that's true. Huh, I wonder why they never did that.
Nintendo always.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like I think
Nintendo always brings back something.
yeah, I think I felt like they should have brought like a tilt and tumble game to the 3DS, not only just for the gyroscope, but like they could have done something with the touch controls as well, where you can roll Kirby and move him around, that sort of thing. That would have been cool as well. But oh well.
Yeah. Hey, not everything can happen.
Yeah. But let's talk about what can happen in the future now. So, what do you want to see for Kirby in the future?
Well, definitely one thing I want to make sure stays around is just its simplicity and just fun to play. That's for sure. Don't change too much.
Like, but what do you feel about the fans who want a 3D Kirby?
Again, I'm very unsure of that because I don't know how it can really be done with its platforming aspects to be a full 3D platformer and such the small exploration Kirby has. Like I say that, but who knows? They could just do it and I'm just fine with it. But it's hard to imagine.
The way I visualize it is that it will be like, think of those mascot platformers in the 64, you know, where you move around and you jump around. That in a more restricted world, not an open world kind of thing. That's how I see a Kirby 3D working out. Whether they will do it is very hard to tell in Nintendo. I think they do know that it's something the fan base is really crying for, and I think Star Allies is the point where it needs some rejuvenation and innovation, like what Superstar Ultra did, like what Robot did as well. And we need that sort of game again, definitely in the future. And that's the kind of road that I want to see with Kirby. But do you have any other ideas for Kirby?
Not really. The only other thing I can think of is like maybe just make a I gotta say deluxe, but as in like a way of like let's try to like put gimmicks together and see what can happen. Like imagine the Robobot but with the ultra powers as well. Like how crazy can that get?
I want that yo-yo Robobot, man. Like his yo-yos can go everywhere. Oh, that'll be sick. But yeah, that's something that'll be really cool as well. But yeah, I think that's good enough. Honestly, if they made a robot tool with more powers, more things you can do and things like that, and can you imagine if they made it multiplayer so you could have like 4 robots clang around the whole screen? Oh, I think if they do that, they have a hit on their hands.
Oh yeah, and I can just imagine. I hope it doesn't happen on Popstar because if there's like 4 Kirbys on Max, I can just see a planet blowing up.
I mean, it happened in Megaton Punch already, so.
Good point. It just happens in Kirby games in general.
Yeah, they don't seem to care about the environment. Like the heroes don't care, the villains don't care. So like, in the end, like who's actually saving Popstar? You know what I mean? But yeah,
like Mark's got thrown into Star Nova, Star Allies. It's just. Kirby pretty much caused a supernova.
It's interesting because I think the thing about Kirby that's really interesting, we've talked about the dark narrative that's hidden, but I think what's even more interesting is even though it's cutesy, it has cute environments and stuff, for some reason it has this strong attachment to space. Like space is always in Kirby, and space shooters is like a classic with Kirby, and I think that adds a bit more to Kirby. Like it always feels like first we are on Popstar and eventually we get out of Popstar sooner or later depending on the game. And when we get to space, usually like things get a bit more real, and it lets the players know there's escalation with the story without, you know, saying, oh no, big things are happening. You know, Kirby has always had this really strong communication visually and in a gameplay sense, and I think that's really important, and I hope they don't kind of lose it if they do go the 3D route.
Yeah, that's definitely, like, again, yeah, just make sure Kirby stays fun. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, easy to pick up is good enough. Like, I think one thing Nintendo has to understand is, like, gamers are more advanced than they give credit for, I feel like. So, like, they shouldn't be afraid to add just maybe a slight bit of complexity if they need be, you know what I mean, like basic things. I really like the Void Terminal boss where you kind of fly around the boss and you shoot stuff. And yeah, it's not that complicated from what Kirby usually does, but it brings something different from what Kirby usually does and makes it really feel epic with gravitas, you know.
Yeah, Kirby always sells the final boss.
Yeah, and one last thing I would like to discuss about is the traditional Kirby versus the experimental Kirby, and which do you prefer?
Oh, that's a tricky one. To be honest, I could say like the mixture, because I can probably bring up one of my favorites being 64, where it did have a very very different gimmick of the copy abilities being able to fuse together. But other than that, it's still a pretty classic platformer Kirby game.
I think I should bring some definitions into it. So, okay, well, what we're talking about more is the traditional Kirby games, which I would put 64 in the traditional side, because it follows the general regiments of the traditional Kirby most of the time. And the experimental Kirby's is more like Canvas Curse, Rainbow Curse, maybe Amazing Mirror in there, you know, that sort of thing. Tilt and Tumble, yeah, those kind of things are more experimental. Do you prefer traditional more than experimental, if that's the case?
Yeah, I'll probably be more traditional, because while like there are some great things that come out of it, I love the original Canvas Curse a lot. Rainbow Curse wasn't fully for me though, I will admit, and then Mass Attack, well, again, fun idea. It's just like, I'd rather stick to like 64, Amazing Mirror, or Star Ultra.
Yeah, I think like Kirby has rooted itself, like its formula is the traditional Kirby. Like, it is nice to see the experimental Kirby drop now and then, but they've not gotten a lot of popularity, and I think that's why we haven't seen an experimental Kirby in 5 years, I think, in a while. So I don't feel like we are gonna get experimental Kirbys too often, but you know, if they come out to pad out the roster now and then, I'm definitely down for that. And like, speaking of experimental Kirbys, I had this idea, right? So, you know, Sakurai made Kid Icarus Uprising, right?
Oh yeah.
So what if we had like a Kirby's Air Ride kind of sequel, but it's Uprising?
that would be interesting, because there are enough characters to use for it.
Yeah, like it's Kirby running around shooting. I mean, it's not gonna be as chatty as Kid Icarus is, but I think it'll be cool. Like, because the thing about Uprising that's really epic and stuff is the huge worlds, the monsters, and all that. But like Kirby can make a cute 'em up look really good. You know what I mean? So that's something I want to see. Is there anything else you wanna, any closing words you wanna say about Kirby overall, or to encourage people to play Kirby as well?
For Kirby, the biggest thing I can say for the franchise, if you ever felt like you had like a disappointment with a game before, or let's say you just had a hard day in general, pick up a Kirby game, and to be honest, I feel like it definitely warms me up, I can tell you that. So
yeah, it always puts a smile on your face at some point of time, and that's something. It's like a friend you can come and, you know, hang out with and feel better, you know, like a fast food kind of thing, you know, definitely. And yeah, that's the thing about Kirby. It varies so many art styles, it varies so many gameplay concepts, but at the end of the day, it's cute, it's approachable, it's fun, and it's hung around for so long for a reason, unlike other Nintendo franchises, which I won't name. But so like it really stands the test of time despite its simplicity, and I think it has to be respected for that reason, at least, you know. So it's a really great franchise you should check out. And I think with that we can bring this to a close. So this is Kellion of the Calzone signing out, and
this is also Kamen Sentai, and see you later.
bye-bye.